Good morning, everyone. As the attendees start to come in, welcome everybody to this premiere session for Premiere 2022 for specialized business programs for high ability students. You're about to learn what all of that means in just a few seconds. So we're really excited that everyone's starting to come in here. A couple quick housekeeping things. If you don't mind, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A function of this, and we'll try to get as many questions as those, but just setting the expectation, we may not get to all of you today, but we're going to answer as many as we can. I have a couple colleagues here with me today, Dr. North and Holly Janmark. Just want to make sure that you guys are ready to go and just so excited for this presentation. So I'm going to let you guys take it away.
Thank you, Nolan. I am Dr. Charles North. I am in the economics department and an associate director of the Baylor Business Fellows program. With me to tell you about the Hand Camera Scholars program is Holly Yarmick, who is one of the advisors in the undergraduate programs office here at Hand Camera School of Business. Let me start off by telling you what programs we will be discussing. So I am here to talk about the one on the left, which is the Business Fellows program, and Holly will talk about the one on the right, which is Hand Camera Scholars, but we are actually going to start with Holly first. So why don't you go ahead? Actually, you can tell about this slide, Holly.
Yeah, no, that's great. Hi, I'm Holly Yarmark, and I am an academic advisor here in the business school, but I'm also the program manager for the Hand Camera Scholars program. If you were in the previous big session, the main session at 10:30 for business, or if you're going to the next one, main session at 11:30, you heard a little bit about the BBA degree plan and all the possibilities of majors that you can grab as a BBA student. It's so exciting to be a BBA student here at Baylor, but we actually have 3 different ways that you can secure your BBA degree. Amy Rhodes talked a little bit about this, and you might have seen this slide, the 3 tracks that we have for the business students. Pre-business is mainly what most of our students do choose. It is no application needed. You can come right in as a pre-business student, and it is a fabulous way to secure your BBA degree. And you can have 2 majors within the business school as a pre-business student, or you can have a minor or something like that. The Hand Camera Scholars and the Business Fellows program, though, that we're going to talk about today does require an application for these programs. And so we want to make sure that is the right fit for you. These are for our high ability students. So Dr. North, if you want to go to the next slide, I'll talk about Hand Camera Scholars a little bit more. It is for our high achieving students. And we like to say that it's more business sooner. Okay, so the great thing about the Hand Camera Scholars program, if you are interested in obtaining more than 1 business major, and we're talking about possibly 3 business majors, this might be a good fit for you because your interests lie within the business school. Okay, Dr. North is going to be talking about something a little bit different that combines business with an outside area of interest, a high interest area outside of the business school. But for our Hand Camera Scholars, these students are high ability students who are ready for the rigor and the challenge of combining all of their admission required classes that normally a pre-business student will take in 2 years. Our Hand Camera Scholars are completing those admission requirements in 1 year. Okay, so what that does, it gets you set up to start those major classes in your professional business core even earlier than a pre-business student. So what does that do? That creates more time so that you can have 2 business majors, possibly 3 business majors. You could have an outside interest like a minor outside of the business school. But again, our main focus with Hand Camera Scholars is that it is about business. The wonderful thing about our Scholars program pairs very well with the honors program, the BIC program, pre-med, pre-health, pre-law, all of those tracks that you might also be interested in. It pairs very well with those because we're moving you through those admission requirements faster, so you have some more time to work on other areas, right? Another wonderful thing about the Hand Camera Scholars is we have cohort classes your first year, and then we have a few more sprinkled in the rest of your time at Baylor. But our first year here at Baylor, we have classes just for scholars, and our scholars love them because they're with their peers. It challenges them. They can have study groups together. And so there's special opportunities just for Hand Camera Scholars because they're part of this program. So one of the things you need to think about when you're deciding which track of the BBA degree you might want to go on. Are you ready for some rigor? Are you ready for some challenge in order to gain those benefits, right? Of being able to have more business majors and still graduate what? In 4 years. That is our goal at Baylor. We're all going to get out of here in 4 years or less, is what we like to say. So we want to make sure, yes, Nolan is cheering me on here, that we want to make sure that you have time to do that. So our Hankomer Scholars, we've kind of shaved off a few things, condensed some things so that you can meet your career goals all within 4 years. Another wonderful thing about Hankomer Scholars, because you're going to get to start that major a little bit earlier than pre-business students, you're eligible for departmental and business school scholarships earlier than pre-business students because you're in your major classes. Okay, so parents, that's a big perk too, is because your student will be eligible a year earlier. Okay, if you go to the next slide, Dr. North. Later on, I know you guys are juniors in high school, so you're not quite there yet, but later on when you create your Go Baylor account, if you meet our requirements for the Hankomer Scholars, our application will be right there for you to fill out the application in your Go Baylor account. It's a not very long application, but we do require a 250 word essay, an updated resume. It'll have your transcript in there. We will be able to see your recommendation letters that you submitted with the Baylor application that you filled out. But one of the things we want to make sure you realize that in order to apply for this program, we are recommending that our students have about a 1340 or higher SAT, a 29 ACT or higher. Test optional students, absolutely go ahead and apply. We have a different way that we can evaluate your transcript and see if you're a good fit, because bottom line, we want to make sure you can handle the rigor and that you're successful. Okay, all applicants must have a math qualifying score in order to be accepted into the program, and that's where we're looking a little bit more closely at your ACT or your SAT math score. And if you are test optional, we have a Baylor placement exam right here at Baylor that if you take that and score the appropriate score, you can fit right in. So don't worry if you are choosing to be test optional later on when you do get to apply. We still have ways to evaluate just to make sure this is the correct fit for you. So now I'm going to give it to Dr. North, and he's going to talk about our next program.
Right. So I'm going to tell you about Business Fellows, which takes the acceleration of the Hankomer Scholars Program and moves it forward with flexibility added in. So whereas Hankomer Scholars talked about more business sooner, we think of Business Fellows as being business and, okay? Business and something else. And that doesn't mean business and accounting. Accounting is business, right? It doesn't mean business and marketing and finance. Those are all business. Those are great plans to do with Hankomer Scholars. What we're talking about is things like business and biology, or business and political science, or business and philosophy and mathematics, or those kinds of combinations, which are possible to do both with majors and minors in these subjects outside the business school. It will still allow you to do business majors within the business school, but Business Fellows is the way that you can combine business with other subjects that are not part of the business school. And that's what I mean by flexible here, right? It's a degree plan that's tailored for each student, depending on what their personal academic goals are, as well as their professional academic goals. Holly talked about accelerated classes. That is also how Business Fellows works. In fact, some of the students in Business Fellows and Hankomer Scholars will take first year classes together. So they're very comparable in that regard. In both cases, it's harder classes and sooner. Business Fellows may do that a little bit more because we also have these additional requirements in mathematics, science, or foreign language. We require you to get to the 4th semester class in one of these subjects. Not all of them, but one of them. So what does that mean? Let's suppose that you're currently taking an AP Spanish class, and you take your AP Spanish class and you get credit for the 3rd semester Spanish course. We do not require you to take 4 semesters of Spanish. We require you to take advantage of your credit for the 3rd semester class and then take one more to meet this level 4 requirement. Same thing with mathematics. It's usually 3 semesters of calculus and a semester of calculus-based statistics. This is a way that Business Fellows has a higher outside of the business school level of rigor than the Hankheimer Scholars Program does. You also have to complete a capstone course, which are listed on our website in our handbook, or a thesis through the honors program, or even independent of the honors program. Capstone courses tend to be courses where there's real money at stake, where you have personal responsibility to manage a portfolio if you're a finance major, or to work with consulting clients if you're in a management consulting class. Now, these are not classes that you have to be a business fellow to take. The business fellows are in there with the rest of the students in the business school on all 3 tracks. The point is that we want you to have a hands-on experience where you're dealing with real stakes, real people, real money, and something that you do has an impact on them. Similarly, especially if you're interested in completing the honors program, the thesis that you write in that program can satisfy this capstone requirement as well. Because we do have even higher academic requirements for students, we also have higher expectations upon admission into Business Fellows. So a strong applicant in the Business Fellows program will have an excellent high school record. And by that, if you're in a very large public high school that gives us class ranks, most of our students are in the top 5% or higher of their class. We do kind of look at people all the way through about the top 10%. But generally speaking, most of our students who have class ranks come in about the top 5%. They're going to have an SAT super score of 1450 or higher. They're going to have an ACT one-time test composite of 32 or higher. We do allow test optional to apply. We will look at your transcript more heavily there. So there are a lot of factors we look at, but these particular make a very strong candidate. Let's see. Let me explain a little bit more how this flexibility works. The normal degree at Baylor has 124 hours minimum required. In the Business Fellows major, your first 31 hours, not necessarily chronologically, but you have to take 31 hours that constitute the Business Fellows major, and they overlap heavily with the pre-business and professional business core that Holly mentioned already, that the Hankheimer Scholars do. The second thing that must be done by all Business Fellows is between 53 and 64 hours outside the business school. And that is more outside the business school hours than either of the other tracks requires. So if you are looking for a pure business degree, we really are not it. We're the place you want to go to add things outside the business school, including additional majors and minors that are there. So between the 31 hours of core business and the outside of the Business Fellows outside the business school requirements, you have between 29 and 40 hours that can be anywhere. And this is usually where we see students at another business major, or even a third business major. A typical Business Fellow will have something like 3 majors scattered between the business school and outside, and 1 or 2 minors. That's very common and easy to do because of the flexible nature of the degree. If you're interested, or even if you just want to find out more, here's our website. It's sort of the first test of whether you should be in Business Fellows. Can you remember www.baylor.edu/business/fellows? So check out our website to learn more about it. And that is everything that I have. So I think we're ready for questions.
Yes.
So how are we going to do questions, Nolan?
Yeah, we've had some questions come in through the chat already, but for those that still have a couple questions after we've kind of learned a little bit more about the programs, or anything of interest that you would like to know about what you've learned so far today, please feel free to use that Q&A section. We're going to answer as many questions as we possibly can for you. Yeah. So it looks like we have one that's currently being answered, but maybe
yeah, I can answer that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
The question was, is it compatible with study abroad for a semester, the Hankheimer Scholars Program? Absolutely. One of the benefits of the Hankheimer Scholars Program is that you're moving through those admission required classes within your first year. So it opens up more time for you to be able to either do a summer study abroad or which is sometimes harder to do for some business students to do a whole semester abroad because you're having to leave, campus, and there are classes offered study abroad, obviously through Baylor, but it's a little different feel. But as a Hankomer Scholar, you've already completed your admission requirements. So the classes that you take in your study abroad program through Baylor might be a really good fit to be able to try out different things. And you can kind of take a pause, from being here on campus, and then you can go abroad and then come back and be right on track. So study abroad really works well with Hankomer Scholars because we've set you up to be in your major classes earlier, so you could maybe pause a little bit before you start this. So it's a great, great opportunity for you.
Basically, same story with Business Fellows.
Yeah.
We strongly emphasize study abroad, and I'd say students in Business Fellows study abroad at a much higher percentage than the norm at Baylor.
Yeah.
So we strongly encourage that.
Yeah, I noticed a question in the chat. It says if my school doesn't have class rank on a report card, that is not a problem for us. We're going to look at your whole transcript, as is Dr. North. And so they're looking at your full picture of your test scores, your ACT, your SAT, and other factors in there. So we know that some schools do not rank students, so you don't need to worry about that. We're going to make sure that we're looking at your whole transcript and your whole resume, quite honestly, to see which classes you chose, how rigorous those classes were, if it was going to set you up to be a part of one of these programs.
Right. If we have a high school that doesn't rank, that's really common, especially with smaller private schools.
Yes.
We will look very heavily at your transcript and the courses you chose and the grades that you made. In Business Fellows, we want to see mostly A's. I'll be honest with you. If you have a substantial number of B's on the transcript, we are more likely to at least tell you to start at Baylor and apply again.
Yeah.
I did see there was in the chat, there was a question about timeline for application for Business Fellows, and I think for Hankomer Scholars as well. You need to get accepted to Baylor first, and then you can apply to both programs. We generally try to let everybody know during the month of March whether they have been accepted. We may accept some earlier, just depends on what we can get to be perfectly honest. But it is our aspiration that you will know whether you have been admitted to our program before you have to make your college decision, and hopefully around the same time that you get your financial aid information.
Yes, I did notice in the chat too, specifically, they were asking if you can apply later to the Hankomer Scholars Program, like maybe your sophomore year. And really that is not doable for us because the benefit of the Hankomer Scholars Program, the acceleration happens your first year here at Baylor. So this is for a first-time freshman coming into Baylor. That is the time that you're going to start the program. Fellows is a little differently. They handle things a little differently, but Hankomer Scholars, that benefit of that acceleration happens that first year. So I need you to start at your first semester.
Right. So what we do is every semester we do take, we are open to applications from current students at Baylor, and it's a slightly different process. Mainly, we don't need high school letters of recommendation anymore. We will look at students, including those who've applied before and were turned down. So it is pretty common, actually, 5 to 10 students a year who have applied in the previous year while they were seniors. They were turned down. But what we encourage everyone to do is, if you're really interested in being in Business Fellows, then come talk to us during orientation, talk to us during the advising window before the first semester of your freshman year, to talk about possibilities for how to have a rigorous enough schedule to send us a signal about your ability to perform well in college. And if you do well your first semester on a reasonably rigorous schedule, then you've got a very strong possibility of being admitted to Business Fellows if you have a good reason to be. And and that's very common. We took 15 students this spring. So it's very common for students to come in second semester, and a handful come in the start of their sophomore year.
Yeah, I noticed a question that someone is asking if they can apply for our current class, and absolutely. If you do not have for the incoming class starting this fall. If you do not have the Hankomer Scholars application on your Go Baylor account, you may email us and you may apply. I'll send you the application there. So I did just send it to someone in the Q&A, but our email address is hankomerscholars@baylor.edu. I don't know if we can put that for everyone to see, Nolan, but that is something that if you do have questions about the Hankomer Scholars Program, you may email, and I'm the one who checks that email, so I can give you the application link and give you a little bit more information about the program. But yes, absolutely, we are still taking applicants. Much like Dr. North, we want to get you evaluated and steer you either into accepting into the program, or maybe something else might be a better fit for you. So we want to make sure that you apply to, if you're interested in, you don't quite know what's a better fit for you, we are encouraging students, high ability students, to go ahead and apply for both, because the Fellows Program does a fabulous job of really working with their students to see if this is a best fit for them. And same with us with Hankomer Scholars. If someone applies to us, but I'm in talking to them, I'm realizing, oh, they have so many other outside of the business school interests, I'm going to direct them to Dr. North, because that might be a better fit for them. So bottom line, we want everyone that is a BBA student here at Baylor to be in the best track that's going to set you up for success. So we are asking students, if you don't really quite know for sure, apply to both, and that'll get you connected with us, and that way you can know what's a better fit for you.
I see.
Quite often. Oh, go ahead, Dr. North. Sorry about that.
I see, and there's a question Laura is typing up an answer for about freshmen asking about grades in high school and pre-AP and AP classes. For Business Fellows, we still would like to see mostly A's in those. 1 or 2 B's on your high school transcript is not going to be a devastating blow to you. But if you sort of have a B or 2 every semester, then that suggests that you probably are not quite ready to handle the rigor of jumping into sophomore and junior year classes as a college freshman. So we just don't encourage people to do that if that's how they have performed historically in high school. But again, that same student comes to Baylor, takes a course schedule that that we'll work with you on, and you make mostly A's on that, then you got a very good chance of being admitted to Fellows in the spring of your freshman year.
Yes.
I was going to ask, we do question quite often that for students that are wanting to take AP courses or dual credit courses, is that something that you guys would recommend taking beforehand? Is that something that's okay for your programs?
Yes, those are fine. The credit does transfer to Baylor. It is my experience that students who have an AP background are better prepared for college than those who do dual credit.
Yes.
And they do better in our program. So we do give greater weight to students who have performed well in AP classes and have 4s and 5s on their AP test. That's a big deal. And that's a really good thing to do if you're test optional as well.
Yes.
Right. If you're test optional, I don't know if it matters for admissions, but it certainly helps us make some assessments that maybe you're test optional because you're not great on ACT or SAT, or you couldn't take the test, but you have 4s and 5s on it on multiple AP tests. That's important information for us. That helps us know that you're more ready to do college level work as we expect.
We are both programs are very friendly. We say to AP scores coming in as credit, that's only going to show us that you're ready to work hard. So that's really good to do.
And using that as a springboard, there was another question about doing the accounting master's program, which is a 5-year program in a 4-year window. That's possible under both programs.
Yes.
But the key to that actually is that you need to bring in roughly a year's worth of credit. There's no magic in our programs that makes time go faster. It's that you've earned a year's worth of college credit, and that gives you the ability to take your graduate credit your 4th year. That's really what's critical, or you have to do summer school.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, friends, as we start to wrap up today, we are so thankful that you joined this session and hope you learned so much about Hankomer Scholars and Business Fellows. for those high ability type students. We are so excited that you have joined us today for our Premier program. We invite you to join as many sessions as you possibly can throughout the rest of the day today. We hope you enjoy your time. We hope you enjoy your experience. If you have any questions, please feel free to let us know, but always remember, sic 'em bears, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Heading to my next session.
Thank you.
See y'all soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks. Bye, Holly.
Bye-bye.